Welcome back to Motors and Medicine. On today's episode, I'm going to be working on the Bronco again. This time I'm going to be doing an install of a piggyback computer to get a little extra power and torque. Now, this being a 2021 Bronco, can be modified for more power a couple of ways. The first is having it tuned by a tuner, and that's where they go in, hook up to the computer, remap a few things, and increase your power and torque output through a customized tune. So that's one method. The only issue with that is that it's permanent. Obviously you can revert back to your stock tune file, but there's always going to be some evidence of a tune left over on the computer, kind of imprinted on it, if you will. The other method is using a piggyback computer. Now, since these Broncos came out, there have been a number of different companies that have come out with piggyback computers that tap into the map sensor and the T-map, which is your boost readings, and basically just alter the fuel map, spark, and adjust tuning a little bit so that you end up with a little bit better power, a little bit better torque, better throttle response, better transmission shifts, things like that. Now, I've been researching these piggyback computers for some time now, and there's several on the market. I settled on using this particular module called the Race Chip. Now, this particular one I chose is called the Race Chip S for two reasons. The first is I didn't want to add too much power because I've already picked up quite a bit of power from installing that cold air intake on the last video. In fact, I was just going to give you guys a quick recap on that. The cold air intake I installed was by a company called Engine Air Technology. And it's basically just a cold air intake that increases the diameter of all of the air intake tubes leading up to the turbos on the cold side. And after installing it and driving it around and the computer kind of adjusting to that new airflow, I was really impressed with the amount of power that this picked up. Now, Engine claims that the power increase from the cold air intake was about 25 horsepower and about 27, 28 pound-feet of torque. Now, I didn't dyno it to verify that, but I could definitely tell by the seat of the pants that it was definitely pulling a lot harder, and it definitely had a little bit more power in the mid-range and up top. Throttle response was improved as well. But there's still a little bit of turbo lag that I was trying to get rid of. The only way to get rid of the turbo lag is to alter the tune itself. And like I mentioned before, you have two options. You can either have it customized or just do a piggyback computer like this. Now, this particular company, Race Chip, they've been around quite a while. And this particular unit was, I think, just under $300, so not super expensive. And there's several other units that they have that are a little bit higher up scale. They've got one that's almost $600 and it has Bluetooth capabilities and it's programmable by the phone and all that. You know, I really wasn't going to be changing maps on the fly like that. I just wanted to add just a little extra kick in the pants to this Bronco, help with the throttle response and mainly the turbo lag. And we'll see how it runs after I install this. Now, the install is pretty straightforward. You basically just have a wiring harness that you tap into the map sensor and the T-map, and then once those are all plugged in, you mount this in a place that's going to be away from heat and plug in on this end, just plug in the harness. Once you do that, then you can turn the car on and see how it adjusts to the new tune. So what I'm going to do is just get that install going. I'm going to kind of walk you guys through the process. It's very easy. First thing I'm going to do is remove the cover, the custom cover that I have on the engine, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and move to that spot. Then I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to lay out the harness. All right, guys. So I got the engine cover removed, as you can see here. And this is where I'm going to be working. So you can see here, this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to mount somewhere on the fuse box. I'm going to be mounting the actual computer module over here. This is just the plug-in for the harness. The harness basically runs this way, as you can see. Here, what we're going to be tapping into, this is your 1TT connection right here. You have your map sensor back here, right there. and then you've got your T-map sensor right here. So you basically unplug this, unplug that, tap these in. I mean, they're easily labeled. This is A for the map sensor, B for the T-map. Once you plug everything in and then you mount everything over here on this area, then I can get everything going. So that's kind of how I've just roughly laid it out. I'm gonna go ahead and get everything plugged in, and then we'll see how it all fits together, make sure it works before we fire it up, and we'll see how it sounds. All right, so now that I've got the harness kind of plumbed where I want it, and then I've plugged in all the connectors, so I'll kind of zoom in here so you guys can see these connectors here. So here you can see, hopefully that focuses, good. You can see this is the T-map, so this is the harness that came with the sensor there, with the new computer. And then this is the other end where you're plugging it in. So you're essentially what you're doing is intercepting the signal that this gets at the module, and it's kind of modifying that signal and then sending it back, okay? And the same thing back here at the T-map. Hopefully I can see that. There's your T-map right here, right there. And so just plugged in, you know, it's just got, you plug in, you disconnect the main harness from the main car harness, plug that into the new harness here, and then plug the harness back in, the new harness into the car. So now that's all plugged in, and we've got this run over here, right here. So now I'm just gonna take this, take the cap off, mount the computer about right here somewhere, plug it in, and once that's plugged in, then I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that all the connections are strong, everything looks good. Then I'm gonna go ahead and open the garage, fire the car up, make sure that there's nothing running wrong, make sure it starts up, it idles, it revs, and then I'll take it for a test drive real quick to make sure it runs good. And then again, just test it for the next few days and make sure everything runs good. And essentially this particular map that comes, this little computer actually has 5 different maps, but I'm just gonna be using the default map, which is map 3. And the max power gain from this particular computer, piggyback computer, is supposed to be about 25 horsepower and about 50 pound-feet of torque. That's the max gain. Now, I believe that's on setting 5. So I'm gonna do setting 3. So it's gonna be a little bit less. It's gonna be closer to like maybe 20 horsepower, 15 to 20 horsepower, and about 20 to 25 pound-feet of torque. But that's right where I want it to be. And I just wanted to get that little extra bit, but more importantly, I just hope that it helps with the turbo lag. That's the biggest thing that I've always tried to fight with this Bronco, is the turbo lag. So we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna go to that point, get everything installed, we'll turn it on, see how it runs, take it for a test drive. Okay, so I got this guy plugged in. As you can see here, here's the computer box. And here's the harness. It's all plugged in. It's got a nice like factory type connection there. I just put a little sticky 3M double-sided tape just to hold it down on the fuse box. Ran it underneath this air conditioning lines. And now I'll just kind of tuck the wires down a little bit here. Make sure all the connections are good. So now what I'm gonna do is fire it up, make sure it starts, make sure it idles, revs really clean, and then I'm gonna back it out, open the garage, back it out, and I'm gonna take it for a little drive and see how it does. And we'll go to that point. All right, guys, so I fired it up and it started right up, idled great, and I gave it some revs. It was nice and clean. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just take it down the road. Let's see how it drives and see what it feels like. So hopefully I feel a little bit more power, but maybe a little bit better throttle response. Just take it up the road here a bit. Okay, so right off the bat, got the windows down a little bit because it's a little hot, but I'll roll them back up. Right off the bat, I could definitely tell that there's a little bit more get up down low for sure. It just seems like just a little bit of throttle tip in and it felt like it wanted to pull hard. Okay, yeah, I can definitely feel that. I've been driving it with the intake by itself just for a little bit, and you know, I could feel that power difference. But now I wanted to give it a shot with this chip. I wanted to make sure I got used to the power from the intake so I could kind of distinguish the difference between the two. And wow, it definitely feels like it's got more response for sure. Okay, 100% it pulls a lot harder down low. It pulls, in fact, I even got my, wow, it kicked off the traction control. I never see that. Yeah, so it's actually spinning the tire a little bit. Okay. So, it's, gosh, it's running really good. Really impressed. Okay, I'm pretty pleased. I think that this was a success, and I'm just trying to get it up to a pretty good temperature so I can see the difference in how it responds once it gets up to a warm temperature. I had already let it cool down a little bit, but not too much. I wanted to get it back to operating temperature as quick as possible. Man, it sure seems to be responding really well to this chip. Smooth, no hiccups, no lurching, nothing like that. Driving just as smooth as it was before. Okay, and I'm definitely seeing a higher boost level now. So before, I was seeing at that same throttle input I just gave it, I was seeing boost at about, 14 and a half, 15 pounds. And there I just pegged 17 and a half pounds. So definitely up in boost as well. So obviously the boost is working. Fuel obviously is being delivered as it should be. Wow, that is impressive. I'm very pleased with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this thing around, head back to the house. Quick turnaround here in this parking lot. We'll be on our way. Now, generally, what I had been noticing after the intake was installed is that it was breathing a lot easier and the turbos were spooling faster. But there was still a little bit of lag just because obviously I hadn't messed with the boost or the fuel or the spark or anything like that until just now. And wow, I really need to stop driving this like I drive my Mustang. This thing is just impressing me quite a bit right now. So I really want to see what it does when I'm driving it at freeway speeds. Basically just driving here on this road, you know, I'm doing about 45 on this back road, and I'm trying not to go too fast past the speed limit. But man, it's driving really smooth. Temperatures are right where they should be. It's about 190 degrees. In fact, it cooled down. It got up to 195, then it cooled back down to 190. So clearly there's a little bit more fuel going on. One thing I was noticing with the just the cold air intake is that I think the cold air intake by itself kind of leaned it out just a little bit. And so my temperatures were running just a smidge hotter. Even though it was making more power and pulling harder, it was getting a little bit hotter. But now I'm seeing that the temperatures are actually coming down. They're not getting so hot after those hard pulls. So that impresses me. that tells me that the fueling is actually on par as it should be, because the fueling, you know, you don't want to do too much because that'll make it bog, but you don't want to do too little because then it'll run too lean. It seems like they worked on that pretty well. In this particular chip, it seems like they got it just right. So I'm really impressed with that. I'm gonna give it another push here. Wow. Yep. So this is a 40-mile-an-hour road, and I just got up to, I don't know, about 60 there. That's really fast. I'm impressed. This thing is crazy responsive now. Feels like it's driving a lot smoother and better than it ever has regarding the throttle input, throttle response, and just part throttle response as well. It's all improved. All of it's improved. So I'm really pleased with this. You know, this unit wasn't expensive. It was, like I said, about $250 or something for this race chip. Now I again just bought the base version because I didn't want to add too much power, because I really want to maintain the longevity of this car and the engine. You know, if you overdo it on the tuning or anything like that, you can run into some longevity problems, but I've learned that the hard way. And so, considering this is primarily my daily driver, I just wanted to make sure that everything was as it should be, and wow, I'm impressed. So kudos to Race Chip. They are a German company that makes this chip, and they've been doing this for quite a few years. They've got Race Chip applications for a number of different vehicles, from Audis to BMWs, Ford, Chevy, Dodge, you name it. They have chips for all of them. So if you guys are interested in one of these, yeah, look it up. It's just racechip.com. So I'm going to go ahead and just conclude by saying that I appreciate all you guys' support. I appreciate all the new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. It'll help it grow. And I would appreciate some thumbs up if you guys like the videos. And we're going to keep moving forward. I'm going to make some more content with this. I've got some other parts coming in for this as well that I'm going to work on. But man, I'm parked here. This thing is idling smooth as glass. Really impressed. So I'm very pleased. Temperatures were never any hotter than 195, considering I was pulling all that boost. So clearly it's happy where it's at. And it seems to be happier than it was before. So I'm very pleased. But again, this is Motors and Medicine. I appreciate all your support. Till next time, have a good day.